What's up, good people? Already a couple people here. Andrew and Gary, you still in the room, y'all? Well, we'll do a little bit of a book divining today, and then we'll dig into what the title is, and we'll play around with the tarot a little bit, and mysticism in general, and the words theoretical realist, theoretical philosopher, theoretical physicist. This is a big one. Theoretical physicist. I've seen this quote about what it takes to be a theoretical physicist, and I found it very humorous. And it basically was about you've got to have a big set of balls and a big ego, and basically wear a bow tie and base nothing in reality. You just play with theory all day. So, as usual, I'll give this a couple minutes before we dig in, so for whoever comes into this in the future that doesn't know my videos, just give it a second. So that way I can give a little bit of an audience. So when I divine from this book, people will have a source of what I'm talking about, rather than people jumping in 10 minutes into this and going, what are you talking about? Well, I'll wait for about 5 minutes, so about another 3.5 minutes. But what we will do is we will take this book here and divine out of this book. What up, Lecter Tao? What up, Gary? And in a sense, maybe not so much divination, but more of I don't just use it for a jump-off point, because it's been cloudy here for a few days. It's been very foggy, and I've had the brain fog, and which way is it? Is it foggy here because of me, or am I foggy because of the weather? It works in both directions, I suppose. What up, Drew Butler? Yeah. So I'll give this like 2 more minutes before I dig into this. And this will be more of a talk that I give frequently, but I'll say different words. What up, Cam? I'll do this show real quick and then I'll chat with you. Yeah? That's been going around lately. There's been a couple of people have said some weird things have happened. Things kind of pushed into their reality. What's up, Antone and Anya? So yeah, Cam, I'll chat with you after the show. And this connection, I don't know. How's the connection for everybody? Is it coming in okay? Because I'm gonna have to look into finding a new place to do this. But I really enjoy this little shop, man, and I don't like coffee shops, so do a little bit of hunting, a little research. So I'll give it about another minute before we start this. But as people are showing up here, I said I'm going to just kind of use this book here. It's called the Beyond the Doors of Perception, Plant Intelligence and the Imaginal Realm, and Into the Dreaming of Earth, by Stephen Herod Buhner. And I'm going to use it to just for a couple of jump-off points for ideas about theoretical realism. As I was explaining earlier, this came out of a post of somebody talking about a theoretical physicist, and like, what a job that is to grand theories. I mean, in the greatest way, magicians in the beginning were theoretical physicists. But the upgrade now where we live in a realm that the physical manifestation, the imaginal realm, is actually where we are. We're actually inside of it and on top of it, and we're creating it. So it's real. Everybody wants to play this illusion game, and I always get into that. Like, no, this is real. We're experiencing this. Yes, it's a dream, but your dreams are a dream. Everything's a dream. So be it. Are we the butterfly dreaming the life of ourselves, or ourselves dreaming the life of a butterfly? That kind of concept, it's all well and good, but we do have this experiential life that takes place in physical reality. Yeah, we can close our eyes and we can make sense of it in our minds, but what's up, Steve P? This is exactly it. This is the idea. It is real. We can even, jump into a dream, and it's funny, you go into a dream and the dream. There we go. I see the culprit. She's inside. She's using the internet. I should tell her she needs to cut down her internet usage. I'm doing a show here. I should tell her to listen in. Anyways, so I'll give it a second to see who shows back up, because apparently somebody got kicked off a line here. So I'll give it a second so nobody misses the more important points here, because at the beginning of this is a pretty relevant point to most of the videos that I'm making, and the ideas about, as I always use the term subjective and objective realities. Are we a physical and a mental universe? The God and the goddess. The God being the realm of thought, and the goddess being the physical thing. So there's this insistence on a lot of people's saying, oh, everything's just an illusion, and they keep pushing it in the opposite direction. I mean, there's something to be understood about everything's illusory. Everything's that we live in is the shadow realm. Everything is a shadow of the things that we produce, as we are the consciousness of the sun producing something as the shadow. It's the reproduction, but nonetheless, whether it's a reproduction or not, it's just as physically real, and it's just as solid. It doesn't just go away. I mean, as time passes, we recreate things, but it should be understood that we're trying to make dreams real. We're not trying to take this realm and make it fake. And a lot of people are out here trying to take the physicality and call it illusory, or call it an illusion, or some sort of, oh, it's not real, nothing's real. And that's just the opposite way that we need to look at things, because that's a weak and powerless position to take, to let's just dissipate everything because we don't like this world or whatever. Everything's just an illusion. Well, yes, we can understand that, but now we need to go in the positive. We need to spin it around in the other direction. It's the stalking the wild pendulum. If it's been going that way for a long time, it's coming back in the other direction. And we're past, and this is about the age of Aquarius, and passing that precipice into saying, okay, it's not all an illusion. We're actually taking our dreams and our imagination, and taking that illusory world, that imagination, and turning it into a physical world. It's not making all of this fake. It's making all of the fake or faux things, or the things that are not manifest quite yet, into manifestation, because that's what the whole game is. The whole game of everything that we do as magicians, we first had a thought, whatever it was, whatever we were, had a thought to make a physical form, and poof, here's the physical form, and then we went forth from there. Getting to the point of seeing everything as an illusion, that's great to kind of, set a stage for yourself. Okay, everything's an illusion, so I can create whatever I want, but the creation is always coming in the form of this physicality. So, yes, it's inverting it. It's inverting the whole position. We can go up the ladder, down the ladder. We can have the triangle that's facing upward, the triangle that's facing downward. However you want to look at it or play with it, but nonetheless, the comprehension that people have of trying to insist that everything's illusory, that's the kind of person slap them in the face and say, did that hurt? Did you feel that? Where are you standing right now? What are you using? They use these physical formats like a computer to make a statement on, oh, everything's an illusion. Well, apparently I'm listening to you from this computer, so how is that? Because to me, this is actually solid and real here in front of me. So here, I'll go into this little book here. And funny enough, this is just about opening to the page of what I was speaking on. And I'll just read from this. And here's the book for anybody that didn't check it out. It's Plant Intelligence in the Imaginal Realm Beyond the Doors of Perception. And this is on, the chapter's called Gaia's Mind and the Dreaming of Earth, the Naturalist Approach. Yeah, the Aaron Special, it's the homunculus. It's making the homunculus, the self inside of the self, and then blossoming it out, not disintegrating the self or the whole world into nothing. So it says, on non-linearity, we need to have a feeling of each other, of each individual plant. No two plants are exactly alike. They're all different. You have to know them differently. I start with the seedling and I don't want to leave it. I don't feel I really know the story if I don't watch the plant along the way, so I know every plant in the field. I know them intimately and I find great pleasure to know them. And this is an author's words. I think it's Robert McClintock's work. Or not Robert McClintock. I forget her first name. And then this is Stephen Buhner's response to it. And he says, her habituated gating channels altered under the impetus of her desire. The novelty threshold of each thing remained high. Each thing remained unique. She did not see a row of corn plants, but a gathering of individuals in a community. Her feeling of each individual plant remained exquisitely sensitive to its movements, how its life was going, how it was doing on a day, and later that day. She cared so much for them as they grew, and she did not want to leave their side. And this knowing, it brought her great pleasure, as is the company of any dear friend. So I'm going to reread part of this, and it's just the essence of everything, and it's the beginning of it. Her habituated gating channels altered under the impetus of her desire. The novelty threshold of each thing remained high. Each thing remained incredibly unique. So the biggest thing that we need to get out of this is understanding what gating mechanisms, habituated gating mechanisms, this is what I always talk about. It's just a new way of saying it, a different way of saying it. And the novelty theory, or the novelty threshold, that things are novel. This is Terence McKenna's work, and the idea of the novelty theory, and everything has become so novel that we're at a point of hypersaturation of so much newness. So as individuals creating newness, creating freshness, creating a world, it comes out of first understanding the gating mechanisms of your mind, and understanding that your brain is a system of points of contact, of this means this means that, this means this, and most people's brains are they're not hardwired, but they're practically hardwired to situational response mechanisms. That someone says this, you say this. This is this time of day. This is what's happening. There's a whole sort of what they call them as gating channels that are opened to receive information, and the same influx of information is getting put into that channel. And people need to, when you can recognize that that's how the brain functions, you can start to change the gating channels by observing them and not responding the same way to stimuli. The easiest way to fix this, if there is a fix. Well, we'll see. Okay. I hope this doesn't keep doing this. I'm gonna try to throw a little bit of energy into the phone and see if I can't steal some Wi-Fi from the air. I mean, I should be able to do that. Let me try to just put a little bit of a shield around this of a magnetics. So, these gating mechanisms. When you take a psychedelic, when you take things that are mind-altering, consciousness engrossing, enhancing, there's many ways to do this. A lot of it is just breathing. Most people could accomplish these simple things by breathing in the nose a lot. So I'm not going to tell you all the techniques right now. We're just going to talk about the lay of the land of how the brain functions, and why it's so important to deprogram yourself. And this is as simple as like pulling a wire out of something. This is what you're doing with your brain. And the easiest ways to do these things, I'll touch on a couple of them, obviously, is the rehydration of the brain, distilled waters, urine, breathing properly through the nose, not through the mouth. You want to go right in your aromatherapy, using aromas to change the chemistry of the brain. Obviously, meditation is great for this, but really what we're looking at is what's occurring. And when we flood our brain with, say, a neurotoxin or a substance that is changing our neurology, it opens up the gating mechanisms. Now all of a sudden, this is where synesthesia comes in, where somebody can smell a color, they can taste a sound. Now that's how the brain essentially worked to begin with. And then all of a sudden, this thing meant this thing, and we started to make connections that this means this, and those connections became hardwired into our brains. And this is a matter of trying to take those and removing those hardwired connections in our brain to find new areas of connection, of how do we associate this with that? Why is it that somebody, whenever people used to do these IQ tests, when you look into all the faults and the ridiculousness of IQ tests, and it had to do with these relative values, the way that people were shaping and molding reality. People with higher IQs didn't make them smarter; it made them more calculated, mathematical, and patriarchal, in the sense of, here's the order to things, and here's what we want you to see. When you see this, what do you associate it with? So that was the way that the program has always been working. They want to see someone with a higher IQ was more patriarchal and would follow the plans and follow the leader. Now, when I was young, I had a very high IQ because I was not challenging the status quo or the rules. I was not artistic in any way. But that didn't make me moldable to my environment. My environment shaped me. And this is getting to the point for everyone of saying, okay, what part do we play in this self to environment stew that we have? How much is the environment shaping us, and how much are we shaping the environment? Well, most people are shaped entirely by their environment, but then some people come in as, you'd call them Masons, you'd call them Freemasons, you'd call them builders, you'd call them, and those aren't the only words. We're just talking about architects. We're talking about all sorts of people that create environments. And you can say good, bad, and different. This is not about who these people are or who you think they are. This is about how do you go about becoming your own architect and builder of your own environment. And that, if that environment happens to be just what's around you, that's great. And if you want to make your environment a little bigger and start to open up gateways, neurological gateways in your mind, this is a matter of just starting to perceive reality as a totality and changing up the way that you interact with it. And most people are so hardwired into reacting and responding to things that they don't actually have there's no lifeblood there. It's only an automatic response mechanism, an arm. It's an automaton. So these types of behaviors that are encoded and downloaded and instructed into our systems through rote learning methods, rotate, to spin the learning from here's the teacher or the preacher to this class or the mass. There's this thing that becomes here's this, and now are you going to drool? Here's the thing, and here's what the response is. That's encoded into us, and that keeps you as that's what a marketing agency does. It's to market, to mark something. If you've been marked as part of the larger beast, if you will, and the beast is the land, and you've been marked to, or you've been labeled, or however you want to term this, you've become part of that system. That's what it really means. Is, are you going to respond to the system to use the biosurvival units to purchase this thing and become a part of that system? And that encoding mechanism it's always the out of the fear and consumption habits. And so once we start to remove the fears of things and to start to look at opportunity in the environment, it changes gating mechanisms in your mind, which go so far as to be able to help you create an environment. And the environment first has to be created in your mind. The mind is the fertile seed, like the fertile earth. That's what it is. It is where you plant the thoughts. Now, plenty of thoughts go through your mind, and we're talking about grabbing those ones that are good and intensifying and amplifying and engaging and turning up the frequency, meaning how often we use these types of thoughts and words, and can we put those and make those the new normalcy. We're going to get outside of the insanity of normalcy, the insanity of it the way it is today, and turn normalcy into creativity. That creativity is now normal rather than responses are normal. There's actions and there's reactions. There's responses. So what we need to understand is where and how have we been playing the game? Has everything always been, if you go into a class and you raise your hand and you ask a question, well, that's when you get knowledge. You've become as the king. Asking a question gives you a more opportunity for different types of places to plug things into. When you think you already have the answer to a question, then you're only plugged into one thing. Now, there's something really powerful about having a good answer. Is there a right answer, a wrong answer? We're not going to go play that game. But if you have a quality answer that's a little different than somebody else's, whatever it might be, that's a good place to be. Finding your own answer to whatever the question is that you have. Because if I said, "Hey, what's your question?" You just walk down the street and you just say, "Hey, what's your question?" to someone, what would they ask? Everyone has a different question at every point in time. What could anybody be thinking about? Do you have a question right now? What is your question? How would you answer it? So we have to find ourselves in a position of asking ourselves the questions, finding our own answers, and by using what's around us, because the environment is just ourselves and our mind pushed out. And so all of a sudden, we start interacting in our own mind. You know those little conversations you have in the shower where you get in an argument or something with somebody and you're just going through this argument that you should have had yesterday, or this, you start becoming aware. Oh, wait, let's change that. Let's alter that conversation. Even if it was in the past or it's a future conversation. Start altering when you become aware. That's the consciousness, being the awareness of your ability to perceive and then have those thoughts. Like you're going to have the stupid thoughts go through your mind. This is not everybody has these. I don't care how good you are at being a conscious, aware practitioner of the arts. But it's getting to the place of recognizing when these thoughts that aren't yours, because none of them are yours. You don't own anything. You don't own an experience, you don't own property, you don't own thoughts. They're not yours, but you get to choose and amplify those things. And it's getting into the brain and when I say getting into your brain is literally find a way to get inside of your own head. Most people find themselves like behind or underneath their thoughts. And it's get into your own mind, like, oh, what's going on in here? What's going on over here? What's back here? Get into phrenology. Start studying things. Find things that interest you to open up your little neurological gateways. That now all of a sudden, you've been studying these certain things in your life, and maybe one thing that you do, maybe you could just I don't know, you never really got into crocheting or something, but that little physical activity, there's a couple things and words and ideas in there, all of a sudden allow your brain to connect different things that you had about all different aspects of your life. Like one thing you could do, how people they make analogies to football because they love football. Everything's a football analogy, everything's a baseball analogy. Well, the more things that you participate in, the more analogies you have. And so this is making those analog systems, and this is why we get into like music. And there's the digital world and there's the analog systems, and understanding the warmth of an analog synthesizer, the warmth that it creates because it's a glowing mechanism that's pulsing, that's actually giving a different sound, because that's an analog. So making these analogies are running that same side by side, and understanding by knowing one thing you can know 10 other things. And so every time you're picking up a new skill, habit, whatever, it's easier to become good at something. It's very easy to become good at something by okay, I got a whole bag of tricks that I've been working on, and all of a sudden I pick up something new. Somebody that's kinesiologically good at something, Like, I'm good at soccer, which means I can figure out how to play basketball real quick. I can figure out sports real easily. Now, if I can take that kind of idea and say, okay, I'm good with numbers, I can transfer that idea of what I'm good with numbers. If you're really slick with it, I can show you how to take those numbers and turn it into being good at cooking. And then taking those, oh, maybe you're a good painter, but you don't know how to cook, but I can tell you by using colors how you can cook better. So now we're using all of these analogies by opening up gateways in your brain to not say, okay, let's box this thing up over here into this system that we've been instructed. Numbers are numbers and letters are letters and colors are colors. Somebody said, no, gematria, numbers are letters. No, let's go, numbers are letters are colors. Now let's go say numbers are letters are colors are, keep going with it. And now all of a sudden we can run like multiple analogies of how the whole entire environment works simultaneously. So like, this is why I could just like, I picked this book up today. I haven't even seen this book. But for whatever reason, I turned right to the page and I find a way to turn this into 25 minutes of talking about what I had a kind of a little piece of information. And I was able to use analogies of my mind and my experiences to create something out of nonlinearity, which is the topic of this right here. Finding linearity, something that runs a parallel in a nonlinear world. So how could I possibly just open this up to another page and talk about serotonin and its receptors as they're modulated affect the central nervous system functions and the adaptability of the organisms? Okay, well, there we go. It's all about the inputs and the plasticity of your neurology, serotonin, and so we could turn this, so I could play with this right now by knowing about my human body. See? Now I know about the human body, the central nervous system. I can connect it to the car. I can connect it to the house. I can tell somebody how to do plumbing. I used to do plumbing, so I know better how my plumbing in my body works. It makes sense. It can work either way. I know language. Because I know language, I can turn that into other things. I can figure out how numbers work. It's understanding overlaying systems. Because if you have the framework and the architecture for the biggest, boldest, most amazing system ever, the human body, then the human mind, those things combined, if you understand the architecture and use this all for an analogy for everything else, you can build anything. Understanding the principles of how the body works, how perception of environments works, how your eyes work, how hearing works, how those systems, you can overlay systems now. But most people, you're never taught how the body works. You're never taught how you don't even know how your car works, most people, right? You go to school and they teach you things that have nothing to do with the most intimate system that you own, that you are, that you're part of. It's yours. You're built right in here. This is your body, yeah? But you know nothing about it. Nobody wants to know anything about it. Then you start to express something about the body, like, no, that's the doctors. They know about that. They went to school for 8 years. They know all about that. They don't know shit about the body. They know shit about nutrition. All they know is drugs. All they know about is pharmaceuticals and poison. But so here's the point, is if we get back to understanding the primary focus of all of my talks always is, but how's your day going? How's your feeling? How's your experience? And when you can amplify and create a larger experience by knowing how your body works and knowing what's sitting inside of your body. My mind isn't really my brain's in there. My mind's out there. My mind's all around me because I'm connecting with that tree. And there's a graveyard over there. So I'm connecting with the ideas of necromancy, of what are those stones made of. I'm connecting to electricity. I'm connecting to the earth. So I'm making all of these. So my mind is out here in the larger world. But I also have this body here. So let me figure out what's going on, because I'm the me that's experiencing this thing, which is my mind. My body is inside of my mind. Listen to that again. Your body is inside of your mind. If my mind is out there in the world, then my body is inside of my mind. So I'm experiencing my mind, which seems to be in there, but that's my brain. I'm experiencing my mind out there with my body. So it's actually in the exact opposite way that you think things are working. You think you're inside of your body experiencing the world out there, that your mind is in here and you're experiencing physicality out there. It's the exact opposite. So there's the fun for the day. And I'm not going to stay on here for too much longer to take too many things, because I have a call with someone, and then I might do one of these. I might do one of these later today. But hopefully you guys like that. I'm gonna scroll through. I'll give you guys like 5 minutes. So, what's up, Jordan? Oh, Steven, what's up, man? Stephen Cow, what you doing on here? You thought you'd catch a little running around New Orleans. Stephen P, I'll just jump on that one thing you said. Join together in good positive thought. Invert the force that is being directed against us. Yeah, that's yeah. Whatever. If you think there is something outside of you being directed at you, yeah, then do that. The higher form is there's nothing really directed at you other than your own mind creating a situation of what's around you, right? But yeah, if we perceive energy coming to us, morph it, change it, alter it. Yeah, man, you gotta learn. So who was it that always talks about somebody tried to come in here and cheer me up, ruining my perfect depression. I mean, that's my way of saying it. You know, don't be trying to cheer up somebody that's depressed, man. It's not a good idea. Let people be in their depression. It's for good reason. There's lots of gold in depression. Lots of source of information in there. What's up, high tech? Nice, yeah. Raw milk yogurt is good stuff, man. Raw milk yogurt's the business. What up, Zach Chrono? Well, Zach Chrono, sometimes the dog, you gotta watch out. I had a little puppy chase me the other day. It was a rancid little animal. It was like a 10-pound little rat terrier that was trying to literally bite my ankles on my bike. What's up, Al Chem in the building? All right, Cam. Well, then, yeah, get back on here, Cam. If you still on here, Cam, if you are, just I'll stay here until you come back. Then, yeah, whoever else is on here, I got like 10 more minutes then, because I gotta chat with Cam. Too little one-on-one time. Yeah, Zach Chrono, that's the number one thing. I mean, we're gonna, you know, I've done a lot of videos on getting to know the body, and we'll like I said, this autumn, this fall, these months here, I'm gonna be getting into a lot more things on physicality and understanding physical movement patterns, and it's not stuff I've really gotten too deep with people on, because well, I don't know, I have always considered the mind to be the source of things, and I wanted people to get my message first from the mental realms and the spiritual realm, and bring it into what the body is used for, and also having a pretty deep awareness of kinesiology and how the whole function of the body works, and all the studying I've done on that I've never really put out on here. There's a lot of things I've never put online about things I know about, just because it's kind of more it's either higher level knowledge or secondary knowledge. I'd rather just, like, you know, cut at the roots for people. Yeah, and see, that's a funny thing. Like, you always play with that game of knowing what you might have, like, knowing if I knew now, or if I knew then what I knew now, like how I would have perceived school differently. Like, I don't think that I was in a household or a family that I could have done anything different to get out of going to school, but the way that I'd have approached the learning, like, the way that I know the mind works now, like how easily I could have accomplished the tasks of doing what school is through basic memorization tasks, it would have been like cake. But then to actually use the schooling system for what it could be used for. But yeah, but what are you gonna do? So now it's a whole new school. It's the invisible college of the universe. So it's funny, the invisible college makes itself visible all the time, you know? This is like, it's not underground. There's nothing underground. There's nothing invisible, really. It's just, are you looking at the right frame rate? Are you looking in the right area? Is it over there and you're looking over there? Is that an idea of be like the pot that holds the water? And when a hole is put in the pot, because there's no thought to the pot, it will start pouring out of that hole. But if the pot was thinking it's over here, it's going to back up the ability for it to, you know, pour out of the pot in that direction. It's the same thing with the mind. If you're focused over here, you know, it's that idea like, I'll train. This student walks up to the master. He's like, hey, I want to be the best martial artist ever. How long is it going to take? He says, 20 years. He goes, oh, okay, well, I'll work twice as hard. You know, I'll put in extra time. How long will it take? 40 years. He's like, man, I'm going to put like even more work in. How long will it take? 60 years. Because the focus is too much on what the perceived goal is and not the whole entirety of the experience. And like observing, like right now I'm looking at this while also I'm looking over here and over there, and I'm observing myself on this screen along with the tree behind me and the things that are coming on in my environment. And by having a looser gaze at the entire thing, you don't become, and this is even another level of things, of becoming like psychopathic or neurotic about one thing, you know, like the fingernails. You know, girls that are always staring at their fingernails and they're very neurotic because it's this concept that women look into the glass when they're drinking and men look outside of it, because usually men are looking everywhere but what's right in front of them, and women are usually looking right at the smallest little detail. But there's this place that's in the middle that allows you to observe both things readily without being so focused on what's right here that the shit that's about to fucking come from over there, and, you know, the car that's coming, or looking at the car not realizing that right in front of you, like you left your signal on or whatever. And that's kind of how to observe the world, to perceive differently, perceive from the way that how does a tree leaf perceive light? It has a soft gaze at everything. Zach Chrono, that's funny you said that. I read that. A buddy of mine, this is years ago, he used to whip my ass at chess because he grew up playing chess. I never played chess. So he used to whip my ass. So I was like, I think he beat my ass like like a week in a row. I was like, why? What the hell? Why is he so good at this? Like, he'd be like walking around the apartment just like moving chess pieces, eating, watching the game, just whooping my ass. And then I read this book, The Amateur's Mind, and it opened up the entire perception of that game. And that game is very much, you look at it in a, not as pieces to be moved on a digital board, but an artistic piece of shapes, and understanding that the shape of the game, not seeing it as boxes, and understanding there's form to things. And you know, that doesn't, most people are looking at like, where do I move my pawn so I can get this thing over here to do that thing, and then they're into the place where they have like 80,000 moves to consider. Well, you can't consider 80,000 moves, so you have to look at the game completely different, because after that first couple opening moves, you into the ridiculous of computers ain't even figuring this out. Yeah, Tiger Strong, what's up? I have an answer for you. Christine Whitehead, what's up? You missed the whole thing. I'm getting out of here. You're gonna have to go right back to the beginning, Christine, and just watch it from the beginning. It was a good one. I enjoyed it. It was very fluid. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do something magically about changing how people get notifications, and because like at this point, like when people are like, oh, there's this whole YouTube conspiracy to not let information out, blah blah blah. It tends to seem to be true a little bit, but I'm gonna try to change that. What up, Bap? Tiger Strong, do I think we're losing oxygen in the atmosphere, and are there more zodiac signs? As many zodiac signs as you want. I mean, you can piece the things together any way you want. That's a really big question, but like, there's the standard ones, but that's giving us a place and timing system that's based upon the system of those 12. We don't have to use those 12 things. Just like you think there's 360 degrees in a circle. No, there's not. There's 0 degrees in a circle. There's no angles in a circle. Therefore, there's no degrees. But for the sake of chopping things up to give us a little bit more information of how reality works, yeah, there could be 20. I mean, why do you got to use the 3 that are there to make the little bowl or whatever? Like, why are we choosing those stars there when there's tens of thousands of stars in the sky? And are we losing oxygen? I don't know how we could be. We're in an enclosed system, so I don't know where the oxygen is going. It's like people saying like we're wasting water. You can't waste water. It's a cycle. You don't waste. There's nothing that's being wasted here. There's no this whole like idea of like recycling and all this. You know, you can't waste water. You can't waste oxygen. You're not polluting the planet by driving a car. I mean, it's all cyclical. There you go. Be the Pegasus sign, man. Pick one. That's like real deal next level stuff. Is make your own. Go back to my earlier videos. I'll do another one on it soon, and I'll be more clarifying. Make your own calendar. Make your own time. Make your own system. Why are you on the time system that it's 3:40 right now? Why are you on that? Why is a second a second? Why is a minute a minute? Why is an hour an hour? It's completely arbitrary. So if it's arbitrary, why is it the year 2017, but somewhere else it's on a Hebrew calendar, and somewhere else it's on this calendar, and somewhere else like create new words, create a new language, and the language is structured underneath the set of values of time, and that time is created out of arbitrary fractions of a system as a whole. The whole system works as one complete thing. There you are, and there's the system. It's functioning. You don't need to know what time it is. You know, numbers. No numbers exist in this universe. Numbers don't exist. Words don't exist. But because here we are trying to communicate, we come up with systems to organize information, but then people got lost in saying, well, the system is the truth. No, the system is trying to explain the concept of what it is that we are here on this plane of existence, that we're having this experience. So we develop systems verbally, numerically, etc., to try to explain that. And so we chopped it up and used time to begin with by seeing that there's a certain kind of cycle and rhythm, cycles and rhythms and patterns, and cycles and rhythms and patterns, cycles and rhythms and patterns, right? Those exist. But even those can be chopped up any way you want it. You don't have to have a 4/4 beat. It could be a 5/3 beat. Doesn't matter. And those cycles exist in your perception of how long they do. You know? So a time cycle could be anything you want. You recreate your own calendar. Recreate a calendar based on the same way Mayans made a calendar. They had a calendar that was, I mean, you just use the basic construct of what's going on in the patterns and rhythms of the space, that we can see that, like, well, apparently, I don't know how much time has passed, but the sun is going to go around and over there, and it's going to be dark here. We get that. That's not, you know, it's reality. So we can say, okay, within this little space and time, we can chop it up any way we want it. Why couldn't we have 50 hours in a day? Just changing your mind about what an hour is. Why call it an hour? So, yeah. Instance, I mean, you're kind of right, but I mean, yeah, but how many different, yeah, people own calendar systems. The Calends are the tax collectors. So the Vatican owns the taxes because they own the fake money, but they don't own anything because it's all fiat is fake. So, I mean, the system of the calendar, though, is not ownership per se. It's a perception. It's perception management. Again, it always goes back to perception management. Can somebody own sounds? How do you get away with owning words or sounds? You can't say these words because these sounds went in this order to orchestrate something. You can't. But underneath that, like, yeah, you're right to a degree, but create another calendar. They don't own that one. There you go. Well, Tiger Strong, you have to understand that once you became a billionaire, then you'd be the elite, and then you'd be exactly the thing that you oppose. And if you think there's an opposing force, then you don't know how the game works. The whole game is somebody somewhere agreed on some sort of system of trade that seems to be a fiat currency, and it's fake and it's illusory, but it provides you with your house, your car, and your food you eat and all of this. So, it's like, if I were to become rich, would you all end up hating me? You know what I mean? You find these people that they become famous, they become actors, whatever, so they can get a platform, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, no, everybody's an actor, is a piece of shit, they're dumb, no, nothing listen to. They're all controlled. Like, no, that's not how it works. It's degrees of perception management and degrees of control. How much artistic freedom do these people have? Find people that start their own labels making music and listen to how much different their music is. There's niches and nooks and crannies and people's identities and identifications with what they are, and whether or not they have money or they're of the elite. Do you know them? Are you sure that they're not just made up fictions themselves from somebody else that actually is elite? They're saying, oh no, look, it's the Rothschilds, it's them over there, look at them, it's the Hollywood people, and it's them over there, and they're just sitting there like, they're just the guy just driving by right next to you in the car, the nice car, they just driving by, but they actually made all of that illusion. They're the real Zionists, they're the real illusionist. So what would you be fighting against other than the illusion that you're creating yourself, that there is some sort of separation between you and whatever they're creating? Like, you have just as much of a capacity to be a billionaire, but then why would you fight them? What would the purpose of that be? That would just be more war, wouldn't it? Wouldn't the idea to be then create a new system that makes their system obsolete? Creating more informed society, more informed people, more informed self? I mean, that would be, you're going to go to more wars. Isn't that already kind of what has happened? Because furthermore, yeah, just make a society. There you go. Make your own society. Everybody's got societies, right? I mean, if that's what you need to do. I mean, I for one am my own society. I am my own religion. I am my own being. I am my own state. I'm in whatever state I'm in right now. This is what I am. And if I try as little as possible to chop that up into other things, because that is the most primary source of, that division is the thing that causes all of the chaos. Once we went from being humans to wait, there's a bunch of more things going on here. Okay, divide this up. There you go. There's the chopping it up of reality. So yeah, one more society. I mean, what do they say? You can't beat them, join them, or if you can't beat them, make another society. Yeah, that would be the more people that become themselves. You have a bunch of authenticated people that are adequate in their own self, and by having more than one person like that, funny enough, people like that come together. They find the sameness in how different everything is. They find that sameness to be the quality, where other people, they want structured order, and they find quality in everything being exactly the same. That's the way it was last time, that's the way it'll be next time, and it needs to be perfected the way that we designed this. Where when people are artistic, there's no hate in the art world. There's There's no hate in the musical world. There's only hate, there's only like confusion when it comes to capitalism putting their paws on what artwork is and what music is, and then all of a sudden music and art have failed to be what they were originally created to do, is inspire and unfold reality for people. Yeah, sorry, Damien. I don't know. You don't know what to do about this stuff anymore. I'm gonna start a new channel, I guess, and see if that works any better. Who knows? I'll try it out. But nonetheless, this was I enjoyed doing this episode. So feel free to go back to the beginning. It was a pretty good one. Well, Tiger Strong, check it out. Here's the thing: you can't change people's states. I've struggled with this my whole life. Until you get these little moments of realization, like people are going to listen or they're not. You can't teach a baby to climb a tree at 2 months old. It just so happens that some people are in the state of being. Everything was created to be in the state that it's in. Uplifting all of humanity to another realm of states of awareness. That's great. That's I think what all of the great teachers attempt to do. But there seems to be stragglers that are like pulling down the whole species. But nonetheless, these states of awareness and states of consciousness and states of being, and they exist, and people are there'll be the what I think everybody wants to do is just take the lower echelon and let's move it up a little bit. Let's raise the bar a little bit of what standard awareness is. Standard quality practices of living, because people's standard practice of living tends to rely on lies, rely on false media, rely on an actual illusion, rely on poison, drugs, not to say there isn't plenty of place for the poison and the drugs and all of the illusions, but to kind of stop making that the human habit, the human habitat. Yeah, man, cool. Yeah, exactly. Lucens, exactly. Yay for drugs is right. But remember, here's a way somebody put it to me. They said drugs force themselves on you, and this is why you can overdose and die on drugs. Things that are artificial and man-made are abusive because they can force something into your system and on you, which is what a drug does, and this is why people can die from it. But something that is an organic. So yeah, this will be the last couple minutes here. So the body then says, I don't need that. It can't be. I can't construct that into something, and let's put that aside or get rid of it. And that's what the organic world does. It doesn't force itself into the body to kill it. So there's a huge use for things that are suggestive to the body. They enable the body. They encourage the body. There's no forcing of, you can't overdose on cucumbers. It's just that simple. You can't overdose, and this goes back into all the videos I do on salt, and nobody seems to get this through their minds. You can't overdose on fruits or vegetables, but there's a lethal dose to salt because it's inorganic. You can kill yourself very easily by consuming too much salt because it's seen as a poison, because it is a poison to the body. The body's not supposed to be eating the salt, but somehow magically you can't, with the organic world, overdose on it. It won't let you. It's a trick to the game. So yeah, I'm gonna dip off of here, everybody, and I'm gonna get off of here and chat with Cam. You ready to do this? Yeah, son. There you go, Cam. So, gamma meditations with the breathing patterns, which is, so for everybody who's watching this in the future, the gamma breathing pattern is mouth, 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 nose, 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 mouth, mouth, mouth. That's a circular breathing pattern that goes through beta, alpha, theta, delta that creates a gamma wave. And so that gamma is actually freeing of things in the body, freeing of memories and getting into a really different altered state of consciousness. And then also getting into hot and cold showers. That is the compression and release of all of the cellular activity going on in your body, including your veins and your arteries, and starts your pumping of your heart. So it's basically helping you. It's doing the job for you. So you compound that and get into doing some Wim Hof breathing methods, hyperventilating basically, over oxygenating the body, urine therapy, turmeric, black pepper, and sun gazing. That's Cam. That's what he said. Yeah, that'd be off the charts. That's super healthy. Like that'll take you very far until you get to the point of, just basically plugging your face into the outlet in the wall. Yeah, Christine, I never thought of that before. Interesting. If it cannot be eaten alone, it isn't food. Don't go. Hey, Christine, go check out the earlier part of the video. Go check out the first 40 minutes I did. It's really good. And then I'll try to get back on here after I'm done with this call here. All right, cool. So Cam, you ready to do this? And as always, everyone, be well, do good things, inspire the world, and if you can't do that, at least have regular bowel movements. That's a good idea. And if you do have any coins or currency that happen to be falling out of your pocket that you'd like to invest into my state of mind and consciousness and my gear that I can use to bring you these awesome messages, obviously you can click on the buttons beneath or find me to donate to the Zen Fund. So, talk soon.